Hello. So, like many of the issues that I want to address in these YouTube videos, this is an issue that I find to be underreported, under talked about, but it's very, very common. And that is, what do you do when you have a difficult relationship with your new in laws? I mean, we really got to zoom out here and think about how normal this is. We would have some of our great artwork. Think about Billy Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet, baby. We're going all the way back, talking about some of the, most classic issues that young couples face. Um, you are marrying somebody who is loved by a lot of people. The reason you love them is because they're a lovable person, and a lot of people love them, and their family cares deeply about them. And it's going to be an adjustment, even if things are going really well, for them to get used to you as a new family member. Similarly, your family is going to need to be adjusting to your partner who you're choosing to marry and adapt them into your family. There's a lot of people, when you think about this, no matter how big or small your family is, that are needing to do some adjusting. So it's a very normal thing for this to be challenging. Now, what we're going to talk about today is what you have control over. We can't change what your in-laws, your partner's family is doing or saying. We're not going to be able to have power over that. What we do have power over is what you can do, the ways that you and your partner can set boundaries and precedent, and that's what's important to think about. So, starting out, first thing I want us to think about broadly for you and your partner are cultural expectations, because this is going to color a lot of how you address and deal with each other's family. Now, if you come from the same cultural background, this might not be as big of a deal. But if you come from different cultural backgrounds, that's an important thing for you to think about. In my work, in my private practice, working in Seattle, I work with a lot of people who are from Southeast Asia, and that are getting married to people from America. So there's different cultural expectations there, and a big thing that those couples have to do is figure out, what do we want, right? What are our expectations of how we're going to participate with these different cultural expectations that our families of origin might have. So that's a thing to think about and talk about right away, and try to get alignment on with you and your partner. What are we going to do when it comes to this? Because that's a big thing. If we have differences there when it comes to our cultural expectations from each of your families, then you have to figure that out first, right? And how you can handle that. Whether that means, like, are we going to have family live with us eventually, or not? Like, those are the kind of questions maybe that you want to address. And I cover that all in Launch to Land, the premarital readiness course on my website, if you want to check that out. So that's the first thing that you want to think about. From there, we're going to talk about the most important way that you and your partner can handle this right away as you're approaching getting married. So you and your partner are about to become a unit. You're going to become your own family. So what you have to do is establish precedent. That's the most important thing. In these early years, you and your partner are demonstrating to your families, each of your families, this is what we are like as a unit, as a family, and allowing them time and space to adjust. So if you and your partner have different ideas as to how you want to relate to each other's families, that's what you got to talk about with them, you and your partner. We can't control what their families are doing or saying or thinking. What you can control is your relationship to your partner, and you got to align on that and set precedent. So if you do this, right, if you do this effectively in the early years of your marriage and approaching getting married, then the family can adjust to this united front, and that's going to help set you up for success. So what does that look like? Common thing is you're planning a wedding. How much input do you want your families of origin to have on that event? Some of them might be stakeholders, investors perhaps in your wedding venture, and might have some opinions, right? So this is a great time. This is a perfect time to set precedent. How are you and your partner going to handle that? are you going to say, hey, we are so appreciative of the help that you're giving us, and this is the type of wedding that we're going to try to have, and this is what we're going to do with that help. If that bothers you, then we totally understand. If you need to make other choices, that's an example of something, right, you could do. Early on in this time, it's probably important for each of the members of your relationship, to interface primarily with your family, right? You can do it together, that's ideal. But if there's challenges, it's important that you interface with your family, because you're the one that's most comfortable with them, and we don't want to create a sour taste, right? For your partner, with your family, if things aren't going well, right? You got to interface with them. That's important right away. But establishing precedent in these first couple of years is really, really important, and letting them know this is what it's going to be like for us in our family, right? And then they're going to adjust. No matter what, even if things are going well right now, it's going to be a period of adjustment. Even if you have a great relationship with your in-laws, it's going to be a period of adjustment. So remember, you might not even be talking to your in-law right now. They might not be interested in having a relationship with you right now. That is likely to change. Life is long, and you're committing to a lifelong relationship with your partner and their family, and give them time to adjust, give yourself time to adjust to them, and it's likely that things are going to change. And it could get worse. I'm not saying it's going to be 100% better, but we should anticipate change. That's the only constant, right? We have in families. So don't be discouraged if you're feeling like, oh wow, I really wanted to have this great relationship with my in-laws. I really wanted to feel like I was part of that family, and I don't really feel that way right now. It's very likely that that's going to change in the coming years, especially if we choose to have children, right? That's a big factor that influences things. So let's not get too worried if we don't have the type of relationship we want with them right now. We just got to focus on aligning our cultural expectations with our partner and creating precedent, right? This is what it's like to interact with us as a unit, as a shared unit. And this is going to help you if you do want to have kids for, your next generation to come, right? To have a united front and to interact or have the same ideas about how you want to deal with things. So that's what I would really encourage you to think about. There's a lot more to talk about around this issue when it comes to setting boundaries and how you want, the type of relationship you want to have with your in-laws, and you can find all of that in the premarital readiness course at launchtoland.com. Check it out. There's a link here in the description of the video, and you can have these really vital conversations with your partner, because that's what you have control over. Remember, just you and your partner, your relationship, how you want to handle all of these things. So don't get down. Have these good talks with your partner, and you can establish a really healthy relationship with both of your families. That's the hope. So check out Launch to Land and learn more today about what that could look like for you and your partner going forward, and we'll help you take off in the marriage that you want.